And good morning to your listeners. I am a lifelong resident of Baltimore. I am the product of public schools, the University of Maryland and the University of Maryland School of Law. I am a former federal prosecutor, and after I left the United States Attorney's Office, I formed my own law firm with several partners. I currently practice law in a downtown law firm. I am a trial lawyer. Throughout my legal career, I have tried a wide range of criminal and civil cases in state and federal court here in Maryland and throughout the country. For the last 15 years that Ms. Jessamy has been Baltimore State's attorney, I have watched with increasing frustration as her office has failed to convict violent repeat offenders who continue to circle through the revolving door that the criminal justice system has become. We need to stop this revolving door and get the most violent criminals out of our neighborhoods so that Baltimore is no longer listed as one of the most dangerous cities in America. I am a career lawyer, not a career politician. I'm running to become Baltimore's next state's attorney in order to get the office back on the right track of fighting crime first by going after the worst of the worst who prey on all our law-abiding citizens. I am running for state's attorney because I feel strongly that our quality of life begins with public safety, and people everywhere in Baltimore have a fundamental right to feel safe and secure in their homes and neighborhoods. My goal is to get Baltimore off the list of America's most dangerous cities. I will accomplish this by building strong partnerships with the police, City Hall, and state and federal law enforcement agencies. I will take personal responsibility for reducing crime and prosecuting violent repeat offenders by joining my deputies and assistants to prosecute cases in the courtroom. I will work to ensure the safety of victims and witnesses who come forward to testify against violent criminals. I will audit the state's attorney's office to find ways to make better use of available resources. Finally, I will be transparent and accountable to the citizens of Baltimore so that they will know the job we are doing on their behalf.
Thank you, and good morning to the radio listeners. I am Patricia Jessamy, current state's attorney for the city of Baltimore. I am a dedicated public servant. My career in the law did not begin in Baltimore. It began in Mississippi, where I was a civil rights attorney. I was a criminal defense attorney. I was a private practicing attorney. I've also had the opportunity to practice law in Michigan, Missouri, and Maryland. I am running for re-election as state's attorney for the city of Baltimore because I want to continue the progress that we have made. And there has been tremendous progress since I've been state's attorney. Although the population of the city of Baltimore has declined by 9%, violent crime has declined by 59%. And we're contributing to that in many ways. We're working to get violent offenders off the streets and to keep them off the streets for as long as possible. That has been my priority since I became the state's attorney. We have the highest conviction rate in the state of Maryland. And that's borne out by numbers from the Department of Corrections. Even though the city of Baltimore is responsible only for 31% of the criminal charges in the state, we account for 60% of all the commitments to the Department of Corrections for serious crime. It also means that if you commit a serious crime in Baltimore, you're twice as likely to go to prison as you are in any other jurisdiction in the state. Those are the facts. But we've also been working in many ways in partnerships with law enforcement agencies as well as with communities. And not only are we working in the courts, but I'm working in the legislature to get better tools for prosecutors and law enforcement to use when it comes to getting violent criminals off the streets. And those include legislation for witness intimidation, for gangs, and for guns. But I'm also smart when it comes to crime. And when it comes to trying to close that revolving door, there are many initiatives that have been instituted by the state's attorney's office. We have a comprehensive strategy for dealing with crime. We're smart about how we use our resources. We do prevention, we do treatment, we do mediation, we do community service, because community is really an integral part of what we're doing in our efforts to reduce crime.
Thank you both. Each of you take a moment in lieu of what I've heard over the last several weeks and give a positive point of view about the other.
I have said repeatedly since I announced my candidacy as state's attorney that I have tremendous respect for Ms. Jessamy. I think that Ms. Jessamy has done a lot of great things in the community. Her community work is to be commended. Her work with the youth of the city, faith-based initiatives, community programs, I think is to be commended, and she's to be commended for her public service. But in my view, it is the job of the state's attorney to fight crime first. And while intervention, prevention, rehabilitation, the things that Ms. Jessamy talks about and has spent the majority of her career doing are great things, and I fully support them. You can't do them at the expense of losing sight of your core mission, which is to prosecute the most violent offenders who continue to prey on our citizens.
I think Mr. Bernstein is an outstanding criminal defense attorney. That's not what the citizens need to run the state's attorney's office. They need someone who knows what it means to be a prosecutor. He has not been a prosecutor in about 20 years, or quite a few years, and has prosecuted just very few cases in the circuit court for Baltimore City. The state's attorney's office also needs a seasoned manager. We don't have time for on-the-job training at this stage of the game.
Next question, Madam State's Attorney. How do you grade yourself as a state's attorney?
I would give myself a B. And I can't give myself an A because of all the challenges that we face trying to do our job every day, and we're not perfect. But we do an outstanding job. We convict as jurors in Baltimore City, and that is happening. We're getting violent criminals off the streets. No, we're not 100%, but we are very effective. The 5 unit that I established has taken 1,800 individuals off the streets and placed them in prisons. The collaboration I have with the U.S. Attorney's Office has sent hundreds others in the federal system. We've exiled them to prisons all across this country.
Mr. Bernstein, in response to your statement about a state's attorney who has outreach, and your statement that you're going to put emphasis on being in the courtroom, how will the community get to assess you being a person reaching to the community, feeling for the community, as the prior years have shown that Ms. Jessamy has at least put that direction on the forefront of what a state's attorney is to do?
Well, Larry, what I have said repeatedly is that it is the job of the state's attorney to be in the courtroom, helping his assistants to become better lawyers and make more effective presentations in court. And as we know and we've heard throughout the campaign, Mrs. Jessamy has not been in a courtroom in the 15 years that she has been the state's attorney. She has not tried a case. She has not second-chaired a case. She's never even been in a courtroom watching her state's attorneys try cases in order to help them. So to answer your question, Larry, in my view, that has to be the primary role of the state's attorney, to be in the courtroom, managing his assistants, helping them become better.
I was a seasoned prosecutor before I became state's attorney. I was also a seasoned manager, having worked in the state's attorney's office as deputy state's attorney. So I had a track record for knowing how to try a case within the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office. It is also incorrect to say that I have not ever been in the courtroom observing my attorneys. That is not correct. I have, for many years, I did some of that, and then I became the distraction. And people, especially the media, started putting more significance on a case if I was there. I do not want to be a distraction. What is going on in that courtroom at the time that case is being tried should take center stage. And so I stopped going because the media made me the issue and not what was happening in that courtroom. We do record proceedings in the courtroom, so I have many opportunities to review the work of my attorneys, and I do. I get 45-day reports in reference to what is going on. I am in close contact with what is happening on the ground in the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office.